ask board members. Olga will come up and read it. I did 7A. This is why you believe we the short during discussion 7. He asked you guys any questions. Yes. Then she'll be here right.
Gonna sit in the corner tonight.
Do we have a motion? Hey, do we have a motion on that? No. What are we talking about?
Great, man.
Olga, ¿ya le dijo? ¿Ya le dijo? Olga. Great. This is the Cindy. Is it switch the name?
Okay. No, she'll be back. Good evening, school board, Dr. Hernandez, and district staff. The time is now 5:45 on this 22nd day of October, 2019, and I call the public hearing of the Edgewood Independent School District School Board to order. I will call the roll. Vice President Frank Espinosa,
Present.
Board Member Timothy Payne,
Present.
Board Member Martha Castilla,
Present.
Board Member Joseph Guerra,
Present.
Board Member James Hernandez,
Present.
President Roy Soto, I'm here as well. Secretary Stella Camacho will be joining us shortly. Our public hearing, item A, notice of public hearing to review the 2018-2019 optional Flex School Day Program report. Ms. Trevino, you have the floor.
Good evening, President Soto, members of the board, Dr. Hernandez, staff, and community. This evening, we will have a public hearing to inform you on the performance of the optional flexible school day program that we had for the 2018-2019 school year. First, for this evening, we have 4 learning outcomes. First, we're going to align our superintendent goal and how the program was aligned to the superintendent goals that we have set for the year, the purpose of the program, the performance summary, and then the goals for the 1920 school year. So the goal that we align to for our superintendent is goal number 1 is to focus on student success. And this is where we have it here aligned here with our Vision 2025. So we are just making sure that our students are successful and that we're providing programs to help our students be successful in the program. So the purpose of the program we have is the program allows our students to attend school on a modified schedule. It allows for flexible days if students are not able to attend every single day. It allows them some flexibility for that. It also allows flexibility for the hours that they attend our program. They can come in the morning, they can come in the afternoon. We even have some evening hours. We also have some Saturday programs that we have and we allow. This program also is aligned where we have some online services. We also have face-to-face. So we have some blended learning that we have for our students. We have teachers, we have coaches that are aligned to help our students. When they need some support, they can come in and get that support through this program. So the goal of the program that we offer for the optional flexible school day is to help students that are at risk, students that are in danger of dropping out of school, students that have already dropped out of school, or maybe students that are behind in credits or maybe some coursework. So the purpose of the program is just to help our students that need some additional assistance or that need some modifications on the areas of need. So looking at our 3-year summary of performance, so for, this gets coming up slowly but surely. I'm going to bring it all up at once. So 2016, 2017, we had 53 students enrolled in the program. Of those 53, we had 32 students graduate out of the program. In 2017, 2018, we had 23 students in the program, of which 18 graduated. For 2018, 2019, we're happy to report that we had 171 students participate in the program, of which 53 of those students were graduates. The breakdown of the graduates, we had 24 graduates from Kennedy High School, and we had 29 graduates from Memorial High School. The breakdown of the 171 students in the program for the 18-19 school year, we had 53 graduates, 63 students that received credit out of the program, and we had 55 that we drew from the program. Sometimes in the program, they enroll, they go in, they get their credits, and they can get out of the program because then they are back on track, so we allow them to do that. Now, some of these students are students that actually also left the district, withdrew completely, and did not come back, so we also reported those as well. So that's a total of 55 students that we have in there. I took it a step further this year to show the students that did graduate from the program. I wanted to show what actually they did post-secondary. So what they did here is we have, for 4-year colleges, we had 2 students from Kennedy that applied and are attending 4-year universities. For 2-year universities, we had 9 from Memorial, 7 from Kennedy, so we had a total of 16 students, and then 35 students that actually entered the workforce out of the 53 graduates. For credit recovery, our credit recovery report, we had for Memorial, 159 credits were received. For Kennedy, we had 64.5 credits, so a district total of 223.5 credits that were received through the optional flexible school day program. Our goals for the 1920 school year, we want to continue. Currently, the students that are currently in the program, make sure that they are going to graduate with their cohort, or any students that we are already monitoring this year that may need some assistance in gaining credit or will be approaching some credits that they need or that are behind, and we're trying to get them caught up so that they can actually graduate with their cohort. We want to recover all those students who are not enrolled somewhere else, that we can get them back to re-enroll into our program so we can make sure that we actually retrieve them so that we can make sure that they're successful in graduating. Then also, we want to make sure that we can increase our post-secondary opportunities for our students. We want to make sure that if they want to go to 4-year or 2-year, that we're also exposing them, because a lot of times, a lot of our students, they may come at different times. So we're trying to really seek out the opportunities, let them know when we have college fairs or when we have opportunities for them, that they're also included in those opportunities for them as well. So that's one of our goals for this year, to make sure that we are including them and we are exposing them to those opportunities. Even when we have financial aid nights, or we have opportunities that they're coming in after hours, we just want to give them that information so that they're also exposed to those areas, which I believe will help us in the long run to make sure that they're actually attending the post-secondary opportunities of choice, not because it's something that they kind of had. So our learning outcomes for today that we had were the superintendent goal, the purpose of the program, the performance summary, and then the goals for the 1920 school year. So I hope that I was able to accomplish those outcomes. And then lastly, if there are any questions for the program.
Board members?
Can you go back to the slide where you had, towards the beginning, one where it shows the different years? That one. One prior to
That one? Or the years, 16, 17, 17, 18?
on this 2018, 2019, 55 of those students withdrew, right?
Yes, sir.
But well, 50 kind of, you understand what I'm saying? Most of the time you're at 50% better. Students reaching 50%. But the last kind of, does it have so many students? So, say 53 graduates. Of those total students, 55 withdrew.
Correct.
So, in actuality, it's 120, 170 students.
Correct. And not all of them are seniors fixing to graduate. Some of them are underclassmen, that they may be behind if they're sophomores or juniors. So when we're analyzing that, I know it seems that we're just addressing the graduates, but really a lot of those students are underclassmen or sophomores or juniors we're getting them back on track. So it's not really a percentage of the whole program, it's just overall, but I wanted to acknowledge the graduates that we had in the program. I hope that makes sense.
Board members, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any members of the audience that would like to present public comment to the board on the 2018-2019 Optional Flex School Day Program report? If not, board members, do we have a motion to end the public hearing? Do we have a second? Board Member Joseph Guerra moves. Board Member Timothy Payne seconds. Do we have any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Closing the public hearing, do I hear a motion to adjourn the public hearing of the Edgewood ISD Board? Do we have a second?
Second.
Board Member Martha Castilla moves. Board Member Joseph Guerra seconds. Do we have any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. The time is now 5:57 p.m. and the public hearing meeting is adjourned.
wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Okay.
Go for this way. Misleading. No, that was good. Because I that was my. Good, you.
Yes, sir. That's you tell the
Órale, ahí. Okay, wait. Oh, yeah.
Good evening, School Board, Dr. Hernandez, and district staff. The time is now 6:01 p.m. on this 22nd day of October 2019, and I call this meeting of the Edgewood Independent School District Board to order. I will call the roll. Vice President Frank Espinosa,
Present.
Secretary Stella Camacho,
Here.
Board Member Timothy Payne,
Present.
Board Member Martha Castilla,
Present.
Board Member Joseph Guerra,
Present.
Board Member James Hernandez,
Present.
President Roy Soto, I'm here as well. Let the record show that a quorum of the Edgewood Independent School District Board is present and that this meeting has been duly called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag? Ms. Calderon Lugo, you have the floor.
Good evening, Board President Soto, members of our school board, Dr. Hernandez, staff and community. We are very happy to kick off our meeting this evening by introducing our students from Cisneros Elementary School. If they can please come forward, they will be reciting the U.S. and the Texas flag. We also have joining us Principal of Cisneros Elementary School, Dr. Jennifer Herrera, who will introduce our students.
Good evening, esteemed board members, Dr. Hernandez, Superintendent of Schools. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome our Edgewood Independent School District Roy Cisneros Mustangs as they recite the pledge. We have Mr. Ulysses Munoz, Ms. Mia Cruz, Ms. Mariela Campos, and Ms. Emily Reyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we can please give our students from Cisneros Elementary School a big round of applause. And if we can have our board members come down so we can get a photo with our students this evening. Again, I just want to emphasize this is very nerve-wracking to stand here before this audience and recite the pledge, so we applaud them for their courage this evening, because this is not an easy crowd. So congratulations once again to our students at Cisneros Elementary. And if board members, you can just stick around so we can get a quick photo, and we will continue. Go Mustangs. Yes, one more photo with principal, please. Thank you again. Another big round of applause to our students. Great job, students. Thank you again, students from Cisneros Elementary School. And now we're going to continue with our highlights for this evening. I am very excited to introduce 3 individuals that have been nominated for our Leaders of the Pack in Edgewood ISD. Our Leaders of the Pack, for those of you that are maybe not too familiar with what that means, these are individuals that exemplify the district's mantra, which stands for professionalism, accountability, and communication. So tonight, we're going to meet these 3 wonderful personalities who are joining us this evening. The first leader I would like to ask to please come forward is Ms. Jessica Vidaurri, 3rd grade teacher at Cisneros Elementary. So Ms. Vidaurri was nominated because, and this is what the person who nominated her wrote, because of the care she demonstrates for her students, always finding fun and improved ways to ensure her students excel. She goes out of her way to be there for them at school and at community activities. She's very giving and kind-hearted to all. Ms. Jessica has also been working very hard to continue her own education, and I'd like to congratulate her on passing her principal's test. So congratulations to Ms. Vidaurri for being a leader of the pack. Yes, thank you. Congratulations again, Ms. Jessica. The next individual I'd like to recognize is Mr. Elias de Leon, better known as Eli, from our Emma Fry Academics Office. If he can please come forward. Mr. Elias works in our custodian department. And if you follow any of Edgewood ISD's social platforms, you may have heard our hashtag, Serve and Support. Well, Mr. Eli was nominated for the way that he serves and supports all of the staff, not only at Emma Fry, but anywhere he may be. He is greatly appreciated on how he greets any visitors, and he tries to assist anyone that he can by doing things like helping them unload their vehicles, set up for professional development, or any other events taking place at the office. He unloads items when there's catering, for example, that takes place, and he's very flexible and always willing to help with all of the staff. He also anticipates the needs of the office and demonstrates excellent customer service every single day. And he's always very, very respectful and always has a smile on his face. So, Mr. De Leon, congratulations on being a leader of the pack. Congratulations again. And now I'd like to ask our 3rd leader to please come forward. This is Jimmy Trevino from Memorial High School. If he can please come forward. So Jimmy is, like I said, a student at Memorial High School, and at his young age, he's already demonstrated an incredible work ethic as an athlete, an example to his peers by ensuring grades and his studies are a priority, which have led him to receive recent accolades. One thing that many people don't know about Jimmy is that he is dyslexic, and yet he still has achieved incredible things as a student, always making sure that his studies are a priority and always taking into consideration those teachers that have helped him along the way, who he says he has much respect for. Soon, you're going to learn Jimmy's journey and why he was selected as a leader of the pack. One thing that is interesting is as he continues and after high school, he hopes to one day be a firefighter to continue to help those in his community. So to Jimmy Trevino, thank you for being a leader of the pack. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy our Leader of the Pack video for the evening. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Hello, my name is Jessica Vidari, and I'm a third grade teacher here at Roy Cisneros Elementary. My why is my children, just waking up in the morning and just waiting to see their faces and, just being a champion for each child. This is my 15th year at Cisneros, and they're just like my kids. Like, I'm the mama bear, and those are my little baby cubs. And you don't know what they go home to, if they had dinner last night, or you just don't know. So I just try my best to teach my kids kindness, and we have to love them in order to teach them. So I'm a firm believer in making positive relationships with my children and just boosting them and being their biggest cheerleader in life.
I love working with Eli. One thing that I will say is that he is one that truly goes the extra mile. If I ask for something, he gets right to it and he'll ask how he can help. Always willing to provide his assistance no matter what.
My name is Eli De Leon. I work at Emma Fry. I've been here going on 5 years, but I've been with the district almost for 8 years. I get along with everybody. Everybody gets along with me. So they keep me busy, real busy. And I always trying to please whatever they want. I try to help as much as I can, more than custodian work. I like it here a lot. I'm happy here.
My name is Jimmy Trevino IV. I go to Memorial High School and I'm in 12th grade. I am in football and my position is middle linebacker. Recently selected to KSAT and the All-Star game. I'm very happy. I'm very happy, my family, me. I was so excited. I was surprised when Coach told me. And KSAT, I was a Scholar Athlete of the Week. That got me hyped. And for All-Star game, I'm very happy. Always give your 100% on the field and in the classroom. Just do everything you can, do your best, don't ever give up. That's my motto.
If we can please just give another round of applause to our leaders of the pack who are here, and if you can please stand once more to be recognized. Thank you again. Have a good evening.
Board members, we do not have any citizens that will be addressing the board this evening. So we will move on to our next agenda item, which is item 4, with the superintendent, Dr. Eduardo Hernandez, and his superintendent report. Dr. Hernandez, you have the floor.
Guys, if we can go ahead and bring up that video. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us at our October board meeting. This evening, I wanted to highlight some events that are going on in our school district this month. As always, we take every opportunity to remind our constituents of our 5 board goals, which are all focusing on student success as our first goal. Our second goal is focusing on our students and families and community. We do that in many ways. You just saw one through our Leaders of the Pack. We like to highlight individuals in our district and also our students and members of the community, because there's a lot of good things going on in Edgewood that we want to make sure that we highlight. The third is our operational excellence. Our fourth one is employee and organizational improvement, and of course, financial stewardship, because we always want to make sure that we report to our community on how we're spending our tax dollars. So this evening, I'm going to start by letting everyone know and reminding everybody that this is National Principals Month. If you didn't know that, October is our month where we get to highlight the men and women who lead our schools. So principals, if you're sitting here, get ready, because I'm about to put some of your pictures up. We have some great principals in our school district, and I will tell you, having served myself many years as a principal, that is one of the hardest jobs that exists in the school district. I always say there's two jobs, teachers and principals. They do all the heavy lifting in our school district. They deal with parents, they deal with our kids, they deal with us, with me, with anybody who walks in, and serve and really do it in a way that's reminiscent to the original work that we do, why we became educators, to make sure that we take care of the children in our school district. And so I am thankful for all the men and women who have selected to be a principal in our school district. And we have our good days, we have our up days, our bad days, but being in a principalship is very rewarding. So I want to thank them for all their hard work. Yes, Ms. Sanchez, that's you up there. Mr. Pina, the rest of you, I know you're over there smiling, waiting. But again, we have some really awesome principals who, again, serve their children, serve their community. And so let's give the round of applause to our, if you're a principal in the room, please stand up, please. Come on, principal. And I would be remiss if I didn't also highlight members of the team who also, while there are many of us who support principals, I do want to highlight the two individuals that have an opportunity to lead our principalship corps. That is our Chief of Schools for Secondary, Angela Dominguez, and our Chief of Schools for Elementary, Dr. Kimberly Matkins. So, ladies, if you will stand, because I know a lot of times you never get acknowledged, and so we do want to thank you for this. I know you weren't expecting that, ladies. And so let's go ahead and move on to some of our other highlights this month. As always, our number one goal is to focus on student success and making sure that our students are receiving the best academic and quality education they can get in our school. So I wanted to highlight this month the Kinder event that happened, our Letter Knowledge Run. I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but the kindergartners at Stafford did a runway show with their lettering. And so I thought this was the coolest thing. And so I asked Ms. McCullis to capture some of these pictures. I just wanted to share, because a lot of times we share the upper grades and what's going on, but there's a lot of quality things going on in our early childhoods. So this is from one of our campuses this week, and you can see the little kids there wearing their, I see the G, that's about as good as mine get. But when you're that age, this is great. And so we're going to continue to do things like this. We did a pre-K spelling bee last year. I know that was the highlight of a school district last year. So these are important things to our kids. One of our other goals is to focus on our students and our families. We had are there members of SAM Ministries here today? Donna Mireles and Casey Weed, are you in the room? Yes, I see you. So if you could please come to the front. We want to highlight this partnership because SAM Ministries helps us overcome homelessness with a lot of wonderful donations of school supplies for our schools. And so all of the supplies that they gave us were distributed to Memorial High School, Edgewood Fine Arts Academy, JFK, and supplies included everything from pencils, pens, markers, spirals, notebook paper. You know, it takes all of us to help our kids. And I know we all know about the remarkable work that our police department does, but they also have to partner with individuals such as Sam's Ministry. So let's give them a round of applause and acknowledge them for their work. The next group that we want to highlight is Brian Garcia here. Yeah, so members of Omega Delta Pi fraternity came one weekend and spent some time helping us paint at Edgewood High School. And so this is Mr. Garcia, who is I believe the chapter president. And so we did want to thank them for their work at Memorial High School. Again, this is from Omega Delta Pi fraternity. And so we want to highlight their work and thank them publicly. So let's give them a round of applause. And then the last thing that I want to highlight as we begin our season of Pláticas again, last year we made a very concerted effort at getting back out into our neighborhoods and really going and meeting our parents in the place where they feel more comfortable, which is home. Sometimes it was under a tree, sometimes it was in a portico, sometimes it was in a driveway, a couple of dogs, chased us down the street, it's whatever it takes. And so I wanted to just let the community know that we will start our first Plática this week in the Las Palmas neighborhood, followed by Henry B. Gonzalez the week after, and then in the John F. K. community, I believe, in about 3 weeks. But this just kind of gets us going for the rest of the school year. By the end of the school year, my goal is to have visited all 19 feeder patterns and really just get an opportunity to get out there with our parents, listen, do a lot of listening, also sharing of some programming in the schools, but just really listening to our community and re-engaging and continue to build that relationship with our folks out in the schools. So if you're out there and you're available, we wanted to share this with you, and hopefully we'll see you, or maybe you want to host a Plática in your neighborhood. You can reach out to our Family Services Department, and we can help you schedule that. So I wanted to share that, and Mr. Soto, that brings my report.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item 5, presentations and discussions. The school board will hear a report regarding the school board continuing education credits. Board members, as required by the State Board of Education under the Texas Education Code TEC 11.159, all board members have completed the required continuing education as required by the State Board of Education. Vice President Frank Espinosa, 27 hours. Secretary Stella Camacho, 31.75 hours. Board Member Timothy Payne, 36.75 hours. Board Member Martha Castilla, 25 hours. Board Member Joseph Guerra, 37.5 hours. Board Member James Hernandez, 23.5 hours. Board President Roy Soto, 25 hours. Thank you, board members. The school board will hear a presentation regarding Lone Star Governance Monthly Monitoring Report for October 2019. Ms. Leticia Rodriguez, Director of School Improvement, you have the floor.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Soto, Superintendent Dr. Hernandez, board members, and community members. This evening, I will be sharing the Lone Star Governance Reports for October 2019 and today's learning outcomes. I will share our student outcome goal number 1, Go Progress Measure 1.1, the percent of students in grades kinder and first grade reading on or above grade level. Our goal is to increase from 55% to 64%. Go Progress Measure 1.2, the percent of students in second grade reading on or above grade level, increasing percent from 58% to 64%. And Go Progress Measure 1.3, percent of students in third grade reading on or above grade level, beginning at 51%, ending at 64%. Also, just want to remind you that our baseline data was set in May 2017. These are our 5-year goals. Also, before I continue, I want to also let you know that we also have our Lone Star Governance goals that are posted right on this, as I'm facing this board. You can see our Lone Star Governance goals that will be posted there throughout the year and will be updated as we move along the year. So reporting on Go Progress Measure 1.1, I want to remind you that the bars that you will be seeing, the gold that you see indicates last year's data. The blue bars indicate this year's data. And the green bars reflect our 5-year goal data. And as you can see here, our goal for 2020 for students in kinder and first grade to read on or above grade level, our end of year goal is to be at 59%. Currently, we are at 42% of our students who are reading on or above grade level. Last year, at this time, at the beginning of the school year, we reported 38%. So already we are seeing a 4% increase from last school year. And also we do have a new universal screener that is meeting the state requirements for kinder through second in English and Spanish for the early reading indicator, and also the dyslexia universal screener. Looking at second grade, our 2020 goal for students in second grade to read on above grade level is 61%. Currently, we are reporting 35% of our second grade students who are reading on or above grade level. Last year, at the beginning of the school year, we reported 47%. We do have a 12% difference in comparison to last year. Again, we are taking a new universal screener Renaissance Star reading for second grade. Reporting on third grade reading, our 2020 goal for students in third grade to read on above grade level is 58%. Currently, we have 19% of our third grade students are reading on or above grade level. Last year, at the beginning of the year, we reported 38% of our third grade students reading on or above grade level. There is a 19% difference, and also want to let you know that third grade is also taking a new universal screener test. We are aligned with our new ELR adoption, our English Language Arts Reading adoption of Mifflin Hardcore Growth Measure. Also do want to share in regards to third grade data is that we have been in conversation with Mifflin Hardcore because they are currently having some data issues working with HMH. The Spanish assessment is new in third grade and is set at a very high standard. And at this point, the students are either at proficient or not proficient. We do not have students indicating a reading at above level. And then also, we also want to report that our Spanish assessment is new. And so those could be some areas of the difference in our third grade reading. I do want to let you know some of the reinforcements, some of the things that are working well. We do have a new reading adoption. Mifflin Hardcore is new in English and in Spanish. Our instructional materials are highly rigorous to achieve our depth of knowledge and vocabulary, and fluency in writing and comprehension. And our teachers have access to leveled books who are available for guided reading and small group instruction. Refinements, things that we are currently working on to continue to improve students' reading on grade level, kinder, first, second, and third grade students. Currently, we have more than 50% of our students in kinder, first, second, and third grade who are reading below grade level. We will continue to progress monitor these students' progress, and we will ensure all balanced literacy components are implemented daily in reading classrooms. Balanced literacy components include foundational skills. These are the skills that are being taught. These are the phonemic awareness, the graphophonemic awareness skills, the blends that they're learning, the digraphs that they're learning to, again, develop the skills that they need to read. Building vocabulary, teaching the skill of the content, guided reading, that is small group reading, writing workshop. And also, we will continue to provide ongoing professional learning to all teachers who are still working through the components of the balanced literacy components. Our superintendent evaluation of the program. Currently, we are monitoring the program. Our instructional literacy coaches will continue to provide training and program monitoring. and also provide extensive support for students reading below grade level. Again, our intended learning outcomes is to share with you our beginning of year data in meeting our school goals of students in kinder, first, second, and third grade students reading on or above grade level. Any questions?
Board members?
I just had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the last year's second grade at this time, what was that percentage again?
For second grade, ma'am,
For second grade, yeah.
this year 35%, last year 47%.
35%
35 this year, I'm sorry, last year 47%.
at this.
That is
So
correct.
the second graders from last year are the third graders of this year?
That is correct.
And this year they're at 19?
That is, yes, ma'am.
So that's a bigger drop?
I'm sorry?
Why do we think, you think maybe the material? You mentioned it being a little more.
Well, we've been looking at the new test and the complexity. So currently we're testing the reading ability and the complexity of the reading material and comprehending what students are reading.
So are we following a trend with that, sir? I mean, since they're going to be our fourth graders, are we going to continue? I mean, what do we see?
Good evening. I'll just share a couple of highlights. This is a new adoption, and so we're using new universal screeners at third grade. We are actually using a Lexile measure, which is something we haven't used in the past. So typically we use the 5 domains of reading. So this time we're really testing on vocabulary and we're testing on comprehension. We actually set the Lexile measure pretty high when we measured the third grade. We used a 520 Lexile measure, so anyone who had a 520 or higher was considered on grade level. So there are actually a group of kids that if we would have measured in here, we would have been at 25% had we would have used the 420 Lexile measure. I do want to let you know that this doesn't take into account some students that took the Spanish assessment. So this is a new assessment, and the assessment for Spanish is the first year it's been rolled out. And we do have some data integrity issues, not on our side of the house, but with HMH that we're currently working through. They've been very responsive to our needs, but we do have data that isn't accounted for within the district. So at the teacher level, the teachers will see that we have kids that have passed the assessment and are proficient in our bilingual classrooms, but at the at the district level, we're not pulling that data. So we've been working with our internal team and working with HMH. And I anticipate with the new training and the new learning around the assessment and with continued fidelity to the curriculum, we will continue to improve. But this is what the data is as of right now.
But this is not the complete data then? 'Cause
This is right, because we're still pulling data. So what we'll do the next time we report on this is we'll show any data that's come in that is a change from this data point that we have here with regard to the 165 students that took the Spanish assessment, so that we can get a cleaner picture of where we are. We really worked as hard as we could to try to get the data file that we needed and try to figure things out. We just didn't get it done in time.
Okay, then that's fine. So then this date, we're looking at match the dates of last, is that fine?
We're looking to match the current data that we have right now. First, I'll say the data that you see is data that we're comparing, because we used an instrument last year that is different from the instrument this year. The same kinds of items are assessed in terms of phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and all of those things. It's just different platforms. So what the data I will share next time is the data that is reflective of any data we were missing as of this October. So we'll go back. Is that a question?
Yes. So the data that you're going to get, is that going to be measured to match the time period from last year, or are we looking at that time period of November?
Okay, so what I'll do is the October data that we have for this year, that 19%, we're going to go back and make sure that we clean the data and we capture any missing data. So the next time we'll report, we'll let you know in an update on what that 19% really should have been, and then we'll present on current year, or the current progress measure. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So is this Does this, the thought whenever we roll out something new, sometimes the scores are going to be lower?
I think that there's always going to be a learning curve, most definitely. We did not anticipate these types of issues in the beginning because the assessment that we're using for third grade is the old SRI inventory that's been field tested and out there for many, many years. It's a very valid and reliable assessment. It's the integration of that assessment into the new platform. HMH had anticipated that this would have rolled out with the adoption coming in, but they ran into some technical difficulties on their side, and it's just, they're working with us to kind of get everything done.
Putting
Yes,
it simply.
I'm sorry?
Putting it simply, we're comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
We're comparing reading, but they're really different cohorts. So we're comparing different cohorts. When we look at the leveling up, you can say that the majority of those kids are the same kids that were with us. So that 19% that we're looking at, the majority of those, that third grade is our last year's second graders, right? But the assessment is different. And so while it's still assessing reading, it assesses it in different ways. So when we look at a Lexile measure, what we're looking at is really vocabulary and text complexity. And so that's very different from looking at different sub-skills in isolation. They have to kind of put it all together for this third grade assessment.
And board, I'll ask Ms. Salinas to, in the board update, to include what Lexile means. Now we're throwing out languages, you're probably going, okay, remind me what that is? So if we can share what Lexile means, and then yes, of course, it's two different instruments. So now the comparison's different. We have to take that into consideration. So we can add that in the board update.
Yes, sir, will do. Any other questions?
Could we see the old, how we were, I guess, grading them the old way, then now we're grading them? Because I wonder if, what were we resolve by moving to something that is not tested? It seems as though it wasn't tested, and so we're kind of using our kids to test, to test it on them. So I'm just kind of curious the transition.
Absolutely. I'll provide a side-by-side that shows what was assessed in previous grade levels, and so we'll compare the instruments. I will say that this, we chose to go in this direction because it's comprehensive and integrated with our current adoption, and it's rigorous. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are assessing students in multiple ways, but I'll provide all of that information to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The school board will hear a presentation, The school board will hear a presentation regarding Goal 3, Focus on Operational Excellence. Mr. Elvis Williams, Senior Executive Director of Operations, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Soto, board members, Dr. Hernandez, community, staff, colleagues. Tonight, the administration has prepared an update of board superintendent goals 3.1 and 3.3. The intended outcomes tonight, my goal is threefold. First, review Vision 2025. Next, provide an update on goal 3.1, which is the superintendent will provide the board with a status on the strategic plan for operational excellence. Report tonight will provide information from transportation, child nutrition, and physical plant services department. Go back, sorry. And lastly, I will provide an update on goal 3.3. The superintendent will provide the board with a plan to repurpose any properties as part of the district SGS framework. Examples of that work will include project works at Veterans Stadium, Cosmetology Lab, Performing Arts Theater, the DAEP, and Brentwood Middle School. The Vision 2025 initiative seen here and simply put encompasses one outcome, 3 core values, 5 goals, and we do all that in 5 years. We commonly refer to it as the 1-3-5-5. Now, within the 1-3-5-5, my major area of focus tonight centers around goal 3, operational excellence. This should be highlighted on the screen, the first goal and the first sub-goal and the third sub-goal. I don't know what happened there, but that's what should be highlighted. So in saying that, more specifically, the presentation tonight, as previously stated, is in alignment with Board Superintendent Goal 3.1, seen on the screen, should be highlighted, and Goal 3.3, which is highlighted there for you. Okay. This is board members. I don't have the correct slide presentation on the screen here, so if you'll give me a moment.
Wish we had some background music, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with you in a minute.
My apologies, everyone. Let's see where we are here. Get back on track. Okay. All right. I think we're on track now, Mr. President. Sorry for that. Beginning with the Transportation Department, our purpose is to transport the district's most precious cargo from point A to point B in a safely and timely manner. The Transportation Department has identified 3 major goals for this year. The department first is looking at the school bus driver shortage, which is a statewide issue. With that said, we have endeavored to increase our bus driver staffing rate from 48% to 85% by June 2020. Ambitious goal, but we're going to work hard and make sure that we're able to do that through marketing and working with our HR department. Next, we want to increase the number of serviceable buses. The department has 41 buses assigned for daily student route usage. Currently, 6 of those buses are in the mechanic shop. There are not major concerns, some minor things, brakes, electrical pieces. We really think we can get that done here in the next 30 days. And so we want to continue and monitor that fleet to ensure that throughout the year, but specifically throughout the year from now to June 2020, that we stay at 100% operation. Our last major goal is to eliminate preventable accidents. Last year we had 4 preventable accidents. Our goal for the 2019-2020 school year is to have none. A preventable accident is one that is caused by someone else other than the driver. And so we want to make sure that we have proper training and our drivers are alert and making sure that they don't have accidents that are preventable. Next, the Child Nutritional Services Department. The purpose is to prevent hunger and provide nourishment by offering healthy food options to our students. The department has 3 major goals as well for this year. First goal is to increase the student breakfast program participation from 60% to 90% in school year 2019-2020. One major way we're doing that, we've added breakfast in the classroom as the preferred program for all elementary schools and all middle schools. Last year, the middle schools and 2 of our elementaries were not involved in the breakfast in the classroom program. We do have some things that we're looking at to increase participation at the high school, but that high school number is not in, the rate is not in this number. The next goal is to increase lunch participation at Kennedy High School from 69% to 82%. At Fine Arts and Memorial, that number is roughly the same. We're going to pilot a program at Kennedy and see if it can take off. And if that program works between now and January, second semester January, we'll implement that same program with the self-serve bars at the other 2 high schools. If it does not, then we'll look at other things that we can do, try to pilot at those locations, and hopefully have one thing that we can do district-wide, universally, to help increase participation at lunch for all high schools. The last major goal is to increase the after-school meal participation from 60 to 80% in the school year 2019-2020. What we've done in order to do that, we went from a snack program to what we call the school supper program. It is now in place district-wide at every school, and I think with that comes a more substantial meal rather than just a snack. It's 5 components of the food pyramid are being served. It's a grab and go, and so we really feel like students would take more advantage of that substantial meal in the afternoon, and we've been working with the schools, athletics, tutoring, and trying to get the kids in there and getting excited about this after-school meal. So our goal there is, again, an aggressive goal, but we think we can do it with this program. Physical plant services department, the mission is to provide service, support, and solutions that positively impact student success. The department has identified as well 3 major goals this year. The department has created a vehicle replenishment plan to replace vehicles in the current fleet. Currently, we have 38 of the 45 fleet vehicles that have been tagged for replacement within the next 5 years. The plan replaces 8 vehicles per year over this next 5 years. So we'll be working closely with finance and seeing how we can get that done. Aggressive goal, but we'll see what can be done with that, but that's the plan. The next goal is to fill 15 vacant custodial positions, which will increase our staffing rate from 85% to 100%. And the last major goal of the PPS is to increase the actual PPS, the maintenance workers, staffing rate from 67% to 80% by June 2020. Now, these last few slides are just examples of the work that has been done already in alignment with Goal 3.3, the repurposing of facilities. And shown here is the newly renovated restrooms, the locker room, the restrooms on the visitor side and the home side at Veterans Stadium. These photos are of the cosmetology lab, the refresh for the student cosmetology lab at Fine Arts. Members of the board, pictured here is the newly installed carpet at the Performing Arts Theater. And here is the DAP campus was relocated to the Fine Arts complex. As you are aware, we renovated the space to ensure students had a welcoming and instructionally inviting learning environment. Next, we have the Brentwood roof, and this is Brentwood STEAM School of Innovation and the Brentwood proper, if you will, middle school. Both roofs have been completed. Just to recap, the intended learning outcomes, members of the board tonight, I have hopefully successfully reviewed Vision 2025, Goal 3.1, Operations Strategic Plan, and Goal 3.3, SGS Repurpose of Properties, and provided updates on the Veterans Stadium's restrooms, cosmetology lab renovation, Performing Arts Theater carpet installation, and the DAP remodel, and the Brentwood Middle School roof installation. Mr. President, that concludes my report tonight.
Mr. Williams, thank you for your presentation and for our break too. We needed
Okay.
that too, so.
You are welcome.
So first of all, Board, we did want to bring this presentation to you because we did want to thank you for the vote that you took back in the fall to appropriate the funds needed for the work that you saw today. Obviously, this is work that will have an effect on our buildings and our community when they come visit our stadiums, the Performing Arts Center, which I hope you were stunned from that picture as I was when I saw it. Obviously, I've gone to visit, but the building looks wonderful. And that's just the beginning. I mean, we're going to do other things and really work our budget in the best way possible. So I want to publicly thank the board for allowing us to do this work. So we'll open it to questions now.
Yes, Mr. Williams, have one. So two. Does the pilot program for increasing lunch participation include student feedback?
You know, that's a good question. We always begin with the end user in mind. So we're creating, actually, in last week's board update, I sat with students not at the high school, but actually at I want to make sure I get the school right, Stafford and Gus Garcia, and had some one-on-one feedback with students about the lunch. Last week was National School Lunch Week. That's just one way that we capture information from our students. In regards to your question specifically, we're going to convene a survey, and I also will be going over to the schools, partaking of the food, and meeting with students just to get some one-on-one anecdotal information from them.
Second question is, we've already toured the Edgewood Fine Arts Camp, BAEP. We enjoyed that tour. Will we be able to go out and visit the cosmetology?
Sorry, I was about to take my drink. I'm sure we can look at that possibility, maybe a future board study session as part of our visit that, is routine to what we do. I just don't want to disrupt a regular campus daily operation. I think we've had that discussion.
Yeah, one of my board.
Right, that's what I was referring to. One of our board work.
Super, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a 5-year plan for bus replacement?
Actually, we do. We've been looking at some of the buses and the condition as it relates to just in general painting them. I can't remember if we put that in the board update. If not, I'll put it in there. We had a replenishment cycle for getting those hoods painted on some of our buses. That's just aesthetics. As it relates to the normal wear and tear and whether a bus is serviceable and putting it in a replenishment plan, we do have that plan. We have not presented it to finance nor the deputy superintendent or the superintendent at this point. We're looking at a grant that will possibly give us some savings. So we're waiting on information as whether or not we were awarded or will be awarded that grant. At that time, I can bring that information again to the leadership and ultimately to the board for action.
In the last legislature, wasn't there something about buses? It was
The transportation allotment increased. I don't remember. $1 per mile, right? So by the time, it'll be a while before it makes it down here. I'll just put it that way.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Board members, any other questions? Thank you, sir. Board members, at this time, we move to item 6, which is the consent agenda. All items will be acted upon at the same time by the board members. Board members, do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda item?
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda items A through L.
Do we have a second?
Second, President.
Board Member Joseph Guerra moves. Board Member Timothy Payne seconds. Do we have any discussion? If we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Board members, will move to action items. Item A, Discussion and possible action to approve renaming of Old Carver Elementary School building at the Carver Building as the Regina Reed Service Center. Ms. Olga Maculis, Chief of Staff, you have the floor.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Hernandez, School Board, and members of the community and staff. So I'm here today to give you a brief background on Officer Regina Reed. Many know Officer Regina Reed as RoboCop. She provided many years of service here in our district. She was born October 5th, and she was the youngest of 6 children. She was well known by the community as RoboCop. She grew up on 42nd Street and Estrella. She attended Lincoln Elementary, E.T. Wren, and Edgewood High School. Go Red Raiders. She continued her education here in San Antonio at Incarnate Word and also Louisiana State University. She was an excellent athlete. She actually played overseas in Spain, if some of you all do not know that. When she was back here in the States, she also played on the Police Athletic League for many years. She volunteered her time and helped her niece actually scout and train with the San Antonio Silver Stars. All those years that she used experiencing playing sports and training, she brought back to the youth here in Edgewood. She would give them pointers on how to play and how being an athlete was being dedicated to the sport, but also being dedicated to your schoolwork. When she was patrolling out in the community, she would see some of our students bawling on the basketball court. She would turn her car around, go back, start talking to them about the importance of staying in school. And if they were during school hours, she would make sure they get back to campus. Not before, she would shoot some baskets with them. She'd always start out by saying, "Let me show you how to ball." She loved working with our students, counseling them, and loved working with their families. She had a way of talking to anybody, and especially to our students, in a way where they could relate to her. She never talked down to them, and she never made them feel like they were anything less. So throughout her 30-plus years of being an officer in Edgewood, she would chase after students, bring them back to school, but she'd always counsel them. And it's funny because the community would come up and talk to her and say, "Hey, do you remember me?" And she'd always knew every single one of them, whether it was a grandparent or a parent. And she was able to talk to the students and say, "You know, your grandma once did this, or your dad did this once." And she always remembered. Officer Reed cared so much about her community and about the students. There were days when she would go home and she knew that some of our kids weren't able to have food on the table. So the next day she would make sure to find those families that she had seen to make sure they had food on the table that next day. So I'm here to just give you a background on the reason why we want to rename the building, the Officer Reed, Regina Reed Service Center, because of everything she did in our community. I'm sure that there's not one person that you would go up to in the community that could tell you that they don't know who she is because of the impact she made. Thank you.
Board members, do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. President.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Board member Timothy Payne moves. Board member Joseph Guerra seconds. Do we have any discussion?
I would like to just bring it before you, our support in renaming building for Officer Regina Reed. I guess first of all, I would like to just say it's a great deal of people that bring gifts and talents to the table, and it's a lot of them right here in our district. But with Officer Reed, I can tell you because I went to Lincoln with her, I went to Wren also with her, and I went to Edgewood with her. So I have a personal relationship, but the thought there is that it wasn't me pushing for this. It's the community that's pushing for renaming a building after her. But we have to also understand that, not a lot of people have these here gifts and talents. It's only a few people come through your life with these here gifts and talents. But Regina Reed had these here talents, but it was for the Edge of the Wood community only. She had a personal relationship with most of our children, our families, and she just watched them grow and she nurtured them, and it was like a labor of love. And if I had my thought for it, we have Mount Rushmore, but we need to create a Mount Edge of the Wood, and she would be the first person to be put on that statue because of her contribution to this neighborhood. And I don't think, you're going to have a lot of people that come through your life that touches your not only your children, the family. Everybody in our community has been touched by this lady, but it all goes back to love. Have to just categorize it as being the love that she had for this area. So that's the reason why we want to support the community in pushing for this. And Regina Reed, she didn't have the backing of just herself. She had the Edgewood Police Department back, because I remember just around the corner, they invited me to come and help to paint this family's house. And after I found out all of the things that they had got for this family, I said, I don't think there's any other police department that does stuff like that. We painted the house. We got living room furniture. We got washer, dryer. And I'm saying we, but it was Regina Reed and our Edgewood Police. So they worked as a team. And this is just one incident. It's many other instances that Officer Reed has affected this community. And, I guess I'll just leave you with that, because I could probably be here for another couple of days talking about all of the accolades that she has had on this community. And I have to summarize with LOVE. She loved the community. And it's sad that she's gone, but her legacy is not going to stop, because it's already in our chief. It's in his bloodstream. It's in Officer Orozco's bloodstream. And it's in our bloodstream, because we're already willing to, whenever we're going to volunteer again, what can we do for our family? And I have about 6 or 7 officers that's in my family. And Officer Reed, she put another definition on to serve. She is a servant. And I think that's what our Creator asks for all of us. Those gifts and talents that our Creator has given us, please use those to glorify someone other than yourself. He was all about the labor love for our children and families in the Edge of the Wood community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Board members, do we have any other discussion? If we have no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We'll move to action item B, discussion and approval of the Lone Star Governance Board Quarterly Progress Tracker for October 2019, 11th quarter. Mr. Chavez, Deputy Superintendent, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, sir. Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent Hernandez, staff, and community members. Tonight, we're going to have our 11th quarter of the board self-evaluation as prescribed by the Lone Star Governance for October 2019. To give you some background, the Lone Star Governance primary objective is for improving student outcomes. One of those pieces is the rubric by which the board evaluates their work through vision, 4 particular components of vision, 2 components of accountability, 1 component for structure, 1 for advocacy, and 1 for unity. These particular pieces for vision ensures that together with the superintendent, they develop the vision for the district and the student outcome goals. The whole idea is that the board is looking more intensely at student achievement. Accountability, that the board will invest a good deal of its time on its vision and student outcome goals, as we had earlier this evening. The structure is to ensure that the board provides authority, operational authority, to the superintendent to achieve that vision and student outcome goals. And of course, advocacy to promote that vision and the unity to collaboratively with the superintendent lead towards the vision and student outcome goals. As part of board policy AE local, the board self-evaluation shall create a self-evaluation unit quarterly and using the TEA implementation fidelity instrument. At this time, President Soto will lead us through that particular rubric to see what updates have occurred and to finalize and approve their final evaluation, not their final, but the 11th quarterly evaluation.
Thank you. Board members, if we look at Vision 1, it's up on the screen, and I think you have a packet as well. If we look at everything that is highlighted in yellow, this is what the board has been able to achieve with regard to, I guess, the expectation for each one of those columns. If you look at the columns, it begins on the left in orange where it says does not need focus. The next one to the right, and you'll notice that there's a 0 next to it. The next one to the right says preparing to focus, and there's 1 point that's allocated for that. Approaches focus, there's 4 points allocated there. Meets focus, 12 points, and then masters focus, 15 points. So here for Vision 1, notice how there is, everything is highlighted all the way through meets focus. And there is a check mark there, which means that this is where what we've been able to achieve to this point. This is what we're voting on today, that we're in agreement that we have achieved this, and we operate in this column. You'll notice that to the right, there's a portion of master's focus that is highlighted in, or is underlined in green. That means that we have moved into that category. So we have addressed some of the expectations for master's focus, but you'll notice that some of it is not highlighted. So until we've achieved it all, then it does not get highlighted in yellow, and so we cannot advance to that category there. So again, this is where we stand right here for Vision 1. If we turn to the next slide and we look at Vision 2, again, the format is exactly the same. You'll see everything that is highlighted. Again, if you look to the furthest right column in yellow, this is what we'll be voting on as well. And again, you'll notice that there's a 12 there, and it's circled. So that tells you how many points that we are credited for having advanced to this particular expectation level. And you can see we still have opportunities to advance to the master's focus. If we look at the next slide for Vision 3, again, you'll see that we have everything in the column highlighted all the way to meets focus. We have a check mark there, which means we'll be credited with 9 points. But if you look at the master's focus, we have achieved some of those expectations there. But again, until we've completed that entire column and have achieved everything that is expected under the master's focus framework, we will not be able to get credit for that achievement there. So let's move to the next slide under Vision 4. And again, We have completed all of the columns through meets focus, so we'll get 4 points there. And again, you can see that we've completed 50% of the expectations for the master's focus. So again, that's our challenge for the next quarter. If we turn to accountability 1, again, we have achieved all the way through meets focus. We have a check mark there, and we are awarded 12 points. You can see that we have achieved 1/3 in the center there that's highlighted of the expectation for master's focus. You can see that we have an item there, an area there that is also underlined in green. So again, that has been achieved, and that will be what we're, I guess we're at that level there, but until we are 100%, we will not be credited with those 15 points and move to the master's focus. If we move to the next slide, accountability 2, you can see that this one is more challenging for us. We have achieved 100% through approaches focus, so we'll be credited with 1 point, and you can see what's highlighted in green. That is something that we achieved this quarter. Again, we have achieved part of what's included in the meets focus. We've achieved 50% of what's required for the master's focus, but we do have opportunity there. So again, until everything is highlighted in the column, we cannot advance to the next column. So there we get 1 out of 5 points. If we move to structure, again, we've moved successfully through the meet focus. Again, we have a check mark there. We have 12 points. Possible points are 15, so we have some opportunities in the master focus. If we move to advocacy, again, we have some challenges here. We've moved through approaches 100%. We get 3 points out of a potential 10 points, but again, until we complete 100% of a column, we will not achieve all of those points. If we move to unity, you can see that we have achieved all of the expectations for each one of those expectations for each column. So we will receive 10 points. Let's look at the next slide. You'll notice that on the left side, in the column that is titled Sections, it identifies everything that is being assessed. If we look at what we're tracking 3 months ago, 3 quarters ago, 2 quarters ago, 1 quarter ago, the current quarter, and the next quarter targets, extra meetings needed, and then the total points possible. Looking at this, you can see, if you look at the bottom of the first column under sections, it says total. If we follow to the right of that, 3 quarters ago, we were at 59 points out of a possible 100. 2 quarters ago, we were at 61.5. 1 quarter ago, we were at 74.5. Current quarter, we've achieved 75 points. And you can see that our next quarter targets, if we achieve everything that we're expecting to achieve, then we will have 95 points out of 100. So there's a lot of opportunity this next quarter. Board members, do we have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
These goals that we're progressing in, when throughout the terms of the board, regardless of who's here or not, when we obtain new board members, do we go back to the beginning until new board members have participated in this, and so our score is never a solid?
Yes, there are some expectations where 100% of the board members have to be in compliance with. So if we have a new board member and they have not achieved, those requirements, then we move back. So it is possible for us to move forward and move back. But you can see that we've brought in some new board members, and we're still in a good place. We're very close to being at 95 points out of a possible 100. We should achieve that in this next quarter. Pardon me?
You said in this next quarter we have
The next quarter. Our quarter ends today. So everything that's highlighted today, 100% in a column, this is what we get credit for. And then, 3 months from now, we'll assess ourselves again, and then we'll be able to check back to see if we have achieved our target, which would help us receive.
And you're going to let us know, I guess, what the plan is between now and then for the 7 of us to reach that? Is that through public meeting? How do
This with the help of Mr. Chavez and Superintendent, yes, all these targets will be laid out. So there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't achieve it if we all, I guess, just follow with the plan. Yeah, it's very, very doable. We just have to all be focused on it. The plan will be.
Thank you.
Let me add also that if you notice on the majority of the targets, the factor that was missing was the students, families, community. And so that's always that elusive target where we've got to think of different ways that we can engage. And I think we're very creative with doing pláticas, and our parent universities are coming on board. That's going to require more participation of the board in terms of actually being there to communicate this out to parents. So it's one of those, again, moving targets. We'll work with you guys on it so that we can have all participation, maybe not all at once, but in different venues. Yes. Because when I looked at it, I was like, okay, same. It's the same recurring theme: students, families, community. And so, right. And so I think through different groups that we have, one, we've got to get the parents in, and then two, I think this is a lot of information to absorb. So we've got to, how do we communicate to a parent that they can understand that here's your part in this big picture of items, and that we don't lose them and they still want to help. So I think right now, pláticas is a real easy way for our parents because we're sort of on your turf, with parents' turf, and that's where they feel more comfortable. So maybe we have to incorporate some of this in there. I'm not sure. I don't want to lose that venue either. So we'll talk about it with you guys.
Ms. Camacho, you'll just have to put your full-time job on hold for 3 months. Board members, do we have any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Pardon me?
Golden Globe.
Golden Globes. Golden Globes for the Lone Star Goals.
Board members, do we have a motion to accept the, I guess, the tracker as we've just reviewed it? Do we have a second?
Second. Yeah.
Board member Martha Castilla moves. Board member James Hernandez seconds. Do we have any discussion? Board members, if we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Board members, we've completed agenda item 7. We will now move to closed session. The time is now 7:17, and the board will take appropriate action, and the board will adjourn into closed session to discuss agenda item 8A pursuant to section 551.071 and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. The board is now in closed session.
course.
Reconvened from closed session. The time is now 7:43 p.m. and the board will take appropriate action on items if necessary, as discussed in closed session. Board members, do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I motion to approve the voluntary resignation and release agreement between Anthony Jacobo and Edgewood ISD, and to rescind the proposed termination of Anthony Jacobo's continuing contract.
Board members, do we have a second?
Second, Mr. President.
Secretary Stella Camacho moves. Board member Timothy Payne seconds. Do we have any discussion? Board members, if there is no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Board members, we've completed all of our agenda items. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Board members, do we have a second?
Second.
Board member Joseph Guerra moves. Board member James Hernandez seconds. Do we have any discussion? Board members, if we have no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. The time is now 7:45. Thank you.